Hey, you there. Yes, you. You clicked on this video because you wanted to know what TWOW was and want to watch something slightly more recent, right? No? Well, too bad. Welcome to 10 Words of Wisdom, the place where pictures worth 1,000 words, and you get
1% of the picture.
10 Words of Wisdom, or TWOW, is a fun creative writing competition format created by coding YouTuber Object Store Community co-founder Carrie Cage, also known as Carrie Kumquat Healer Huang. The original TWOW ended on December 22nd, 2022, and lasted for 7 years. If you haven't watched any of it, and you still clicked on this video, I do recommend spending some time watching it. This is genuinely good content. While Carrie Cage's original TWOW has ended, a community of people interested in the format from the TWOW Central Discord server, where people can advertise their own TWOWs, referred to as mini TWOWs. As such, I'll have my sources listed in the description, which will mainly be the how-to TWOW document made by TR, how to host document made by Navy and Tai person, and the original TWOW0A made by Carrie Cage. Without further ado, let's get this going. Here's a TLDW. In TWOWs, you make responses in 10 words or less to a prompt made by the host. Your response is then grouped with everyone else's responses, and then they get voted on. Voting is compiled, and results are released. Top contestants generally prize, meaning that they get to send 2 responses instead of 1 for the next round. The bottom contestants are eliminated from the competition, which means that they can no longer respond to future rounds of the TWOW. As such, TWOWs have 3 distinct phases: responding, voting, and results. Let's get to responding. A prompt is a question which the contestants must respond to in the most witty way possible. The most important rule to remember when making responses is that they must be 10 words or less. Responses with more than 10 words will be downvoted by voters based on their discretion, but usually they'll place it last. Hyphenating words which are not normally hyphenated to go around the word limit is frowned upon, and responses containing them are also generally voted down. Make sure your response is less than 10 words because oftentimes hosts don't mention if your response exceeds 10 words and depend on you to be mindful. The other rules which more serve to help you make good responses are: never avoid the prompt, avoid formatting, check grammar and spelling, don't use filler words, don't force unnecessary rhyming, alliteration, or acronyms, and finally, be as creative and witty as you can. If you have something funny in mind that relates to the prompt, try to incorporate it in your response. People tend to vote up good comedy. Do not reference TWOW itself or overused ideas in your response. This includes things like the TWOW meta or dead memes. Never plagiarize a response from another TWOW which had the same prompt to the one they're responding to. Plagiarism is bad. Speaking of, TWOW meta refers to common strategies used in making responses. Naturally, by participating in more and more TWOWs, you will understand what these are. TWOW meta can be something as simple as including a word pun to something like similar response structures. Also, do not ever forget to respond. If you do, you'll be instantly eliminated from the competition. The term for that is being a DNP. I would know. Let's get to voting. After responding phase is over, the host will compile all the responses and post them all in a voting sheet for the people to vote. Now, the logic for how you should structure your vote is slightly tricky, so I'll try my best to explain it in a simple way. This is a typical voting screen. A voting sheet will have many voting sections, and each voting section will have their own voting screen. When voting, you need to make sure that you only vote in a single voting section. In that section, you can vote on any screen. If you vote on all the screens, you super voted, which means that you voted on every response. The top word is the keyword, and all the stuff below it are the responses. To make your vote, first rank all the responses from best to worst. Then you replace each response with their paired letter. Now take the order and put in your vote, ordering best to worst from left to right. The hard part's done now. You take the keyword and put it to the left of the order, separating it by a space. Finally, encase your vote in square brackets, and you're done. As you can tell, doing this for small screens is relatively straightforward, but the more responses there are, the more unwieldy this gets. So for that, you can use sites like voter.figec.uk by Figec, or download programs like the Voter app for Mac, made by Robbie, and voter.exe for Windows, made by 96LB. While voting, here's some things you should know. You're encouraged to vote your response first. Don't feel bad if you do it because everyone does. Not voting yourself up lowers your chances of survival. Vote fairly. Don't vote just for the sake of voting. Don't randomly vote your competitor's responses. Don't strategically vote your competitor's responses low. Don't alphabet vote. That's a meme here. Voting relies on you being a fair judge, so voting unfairly is against the spirit of the competition. Most hosts can tell if your vote is weird looking or not, so keep that in mind too. Don't review your response until voting ends. It goes without saying, but voting relies on anonymity. Revealing your response makes people more likely to vote your response down. You also shouldn't reveal your vote publicly because it's obvious what your response is from your vote. Voting is not something that's mandatory, though voting does help boost your responses score. If you've ever seen characters TWOW, you may have noticed voting being shown in the A videos. Most media TWOWs have voting instead in a Google Sheets link. Also, unlike characters TWOW, you typically send your votes to the host's alt on Discord. Access to the alt is usually from the Discord server that media TWOW is hosted from. Don't send votes in the comments unless the host tells you to. Let's get to results. The results reveal each response's rankings, typically presented in front of a live audience. All you have to do is watch. Here's what most leaderboards look like. The leaderboards generally have 3 sections: the prize zone, the save zone, and the dead zone. Prize zone is the top 10% of the contestants. Prize users receive a double response prize, or DRP, which allows them to submit 2 responses next round as a reward. The highest of the 2 responses only counts. DRPs practically give you a safety net for the next round. The save zone consists of normal contestants who survive and move on. And the dead zone consists of the bottom 20% of contestants who are eliminated from the competition. This is the average percentile. Average percentile, also referred to as your score, is the average placement of your response among all the votes. The higher the percentage, the better. This is the skew. Skew is the tiebreaker most hosts use. It measures that the voters put the response above the mean. Basically, a lower skew means most people put it high with a couple of lower votes, and higher skew means most people put it low with a couple of higher votes. Lower skew wins the tie. This is the standard deviation. Standard deviation was used as the old tiebreaker by Kerry KH in the original TWOW. Nowadays, it's still shown on leaderboards, but it's now redundant. It measures how controversial the response was. The lower standard deviation, the more agreeable the response was. This is the voting rank distribution, or VRD. It's a visual that helps the viewer understand how the voters rank the particular response. There are 2 main types of VRDs, known as carry VRD and HVRD. The essential difference between them being carry VRD is more of a histogram, whereas HVRD is more of a sorted bar graph. Most hosts use HVRD in their leaderboards because it allows the host to be less restricted with voting. Now, 1x1s. Later on in the game, there will be 1x1 reveals. This is when the contestants are revealed 1 by 1 in the order they placed last time. In 1x1s, the score is revealed by an arrow slowly moving down the graph until it stops, revealing the score. Comes to the right, the responses reveals the response's standard deviation. Slowly, the prize and deaths are revealed, and the final leaderboard is shown at the end. After the results are done, the host usually shows some statistics. Shortly after, a new prompt is released, completing the cycle of TWOW. Most of this section was ripped from TR's How to TWOW document, of which I'm gratefully thankful of its existence. Before I end the first part of this video, let me read some common terminologies used in the community. It's not necessary that you know these, but it does help decipher certain things we often say. Pause the video if you need to read the definitions. I'll just be mostly glossing over these. Alumni, Booksona, Confessional, Cuck, Dummy, DNP, DNR, DRP and TRP, Eulogies, Viewtech, Mega Screen, Prompt, Response, Sandblast, Scrape, Voting Screen, Spoiler Wall, Supervote, Technical, Twist. Speaking of twists, confessionals, eulogies, and more, let's get to things outside the basic outline of TWOW. Booksona. Your Booksona is the book avatar used to represent yourself in TWOWs. While not mandatory, it's somewhat of a tradition in TWOW community. You can get a default Booksona from 8twins.net/book or a Booksona from Gray's Booksona Maker. While these options are easy to set up, personally speaking, it's often more iconic when you add unique ideas on top of your Booksona or even create a Booksona of your own. Though keeping in mind that if you create one, make sure that the background of your Booksona is transparent. I'll leave some sources to help you make your own Booksona description, some more useful than others. Twists. Certain media TWOWs have an initial gimmick, which deviates them from the standard TWOW cycle. This gimmick is called the twist. Media TWOWs that have them are called twist TWOWs. Media TWOWs that don't have them are called vanilla TWOWs. The most common twist is changing the 10-word limit to a 100-character one. This popular alteration allows for more leniency with ideas and phrasing. Other twists include adding multiple lives, adding items, having the bottom 10% prize instead, etc. Confessionals and eulogies. Some media TWOWs allow you to send special messages between voting and response phase. These special messages are confessionals. You can send these by DMing the host's alt. Similarly, some media TWOWs allow you to send some final words after you're eliminated. These are the eulogies. You also send these by the host's alt. Remember, only some media TWOWs have this feature. Prompt comics. Certain hosts release prompt comics which will lead up to the release of the realm's prompt. They are funny. They are funny. Alumni predictions. Certain mini TWOWs will have a channel where you can try and predict what the alumni of the TWOW would be. Predictions are then locked, and the person who was closest gets nothing. It's just plain fun. Contestant flowers. Usually at alumni stage, the host will release contested flowers for each alumni. These flowers allow you to show support for a certain TWOW alumni. Flowers are removed as alumni slowly get eliminated. Now that you have a good grasp on the essence of mini TWOWs, you may feel yourself capable of hosting one yourself. While I warn you that your journey is one filled with mistakes and errors, I feel obligated to at least tell you the bare minimum. For more info, refer the How to Host document by Navy and tie person in the description below. This is the Calculator. It's the engine that drives most mini TWOWs in the community. It's the latest iteration of multiple generations of hosting helpers, being created and refined by Raven. To use it, go to File and create a copy. This section is the permafrost section. You put your contestant names here, and your Booksona names here. You can also alter the prize zone, the death zone, the visualization, etc. Don't forget to click the button to allow custom books in the leaderboards. This section is the responses section. As such, you input your contestants' responses here. You can change the word limit to a character limit here, and you can make a response into a dummy by clicking this button. This section is the voting section. Most people mess up here by accidentally changing something important. Just paste your voting screens here and your votes here. You can make voting screens based on Pepsi's automatic voting maker in the description, or you can do it manually. This is the results section. Your leaderboards are displayed here. That's the bare bones guide to the Calculator. But remember, just because you can barely host a TWOW doesn't mean immediately people are going to join it. Do something unique. Make cool voting screens and leaderboards, polish your hosting skills, make a prompt comic. Practice makes perfect after all, and perfection only comes easily when you enjoy what you do. If you don't like hosting, then don't force yourself to do it. Just hang out in the community and join a couple of TWOWs you're interested in. Anyways, that's the gist of TWOW and TWOW Central, an amazing community you've never heard of. Links in the description. Stay in key.